Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Gaines, and I just finished wrapping up playing this Bravely Default 2 demo, so I figured, hey, might as well bring you a review, let you know how I feel about it. Now, before we get into what I like and dislike about the game, I actually want to start off with just getting into the generalities, talking about the battle system, things like that, talking about the job system, giving you an overall feel for the game before I dive into things that I feel like should be changed and things that I just outright don't like, and also things that I really love about the game. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. First off, this is the only demo I've ever played that was a special version of a game. Basically designed to teach you about the game, but weirdly enough it's also a little bit harder so that you can enjoy the game better. Now, there are people out there who enjoy a higher difficulty game, but the majority of people don't, so I figured that was really weird. So we're going to start with the story. There's 4 crystals: wind, water, earth, and fire, and these seem to protect everything and keep everything in line. Now, something's either happened to the crystals or the crystals were taken by some unknown force or unnamed force, and then everything pretty much went to shit. Princess Gloria, she decided she's gonna go on a mission and restore all these crystals so that everything can get back to the way it was. Our character Seth, we watched the show and we decided, yeah, we're gonna tag along, we're gonna do that, we're gonna help Princess Gloria do it. No one's told us why this is happening yet, we just know we're being a helpful guy. You actually start off in the land of Savalon. That land is half submerged underwater due to something being wrong or the water crystal itself being missing. So the water is just slowly rising in this land until it completely engulfs the city. So that starts us on our quest to go figure out what happened to or what's wrong with the water crystal so that we can save this city. Now, these character dialogue scenes remind me a lot of the Secret of Mana remake, to where you have the character just standing in front of a still background and talking about whatever is happening at that current point in time. One thing I do like about this though is that auto advance feature you see up in the top right hand corner. If you hit L, it'll auto advance each dialogue box to the next box without you having to keep pushing A. Now, this isn't anything that's, crazy, but it's just really nice. It's like a little convenience thing to where you don't have to keep tapping the button and you can kind of just listen to the dialogue as it plays out. So here we are in the city overworld map. And you can see they do a good job of laying out the icons to show you what characters are able to be talked to, as well as the yellow marker that shows you where the next objective point is to advance the main story. And this really helps out a lot because a game with this type of art style, sometimes it can be difficult to figure out what buildings you can go in, what people you can talk to, what's actually being able to be interacted with the character. And just like they use the yellow indicator for the main missions to let you know where you need to go to advance the plot, they do the same thing when you pick up a side quest, except for it's a red marker and that lets you know where you need to go in order to complete that mission. Now, sometimes you can feel like, that's a little too handholdy and it shouldn't be telling me everywhere I need to go. This game actually does strike a good balance with that, to where it doesn't feel like it's too overbearing to where it's really holding your hand. It just feels like it's giving you some good information that you can use whether you want to or not. If you actually go into the options, you can turn off these indicators if you want, if you don't want them on the screen. But for me personally, I feel like they're just there to help you and they don't feel like they're actually giving you too much of an advantage or anything like that. So this game revolves around the ability to use different jobs or classes for your characters. This has been found throughout various other RPGs that's been made. So in the demo, they gave us 5 to use from the beginning. You have the Freelancer, which is like an all-around adventurer, a White Mage, which is your healer, a Black Mage who uses magic to damage individuals, and a Vanguard, which is your tank, and a Monk, which is like your striker. Now, when you level these jobs up, you'll get new abilities. You have both passive and active abilities. Active abilities are just like any other move you would use in battle. Some of these moves will use up your magic points. Other ones, they don't use up anything. And you also have your passive abilities, which these are things that just happen in battle or outside of battle, depending on what the ability is, without you actually having to trigger it. It's always active. Now, you can't use all of the passive abilities your character will earn at once, but you can pick between the ones you want, and you have up to 3 points to be able to use. Some passive abilities only take 1 point, others take 2. I didn't see any that took 3 so far, but you have up to a total of 3 points to use on passive abilities for each character. Now these classes can be used for any character. Nobody is locked to a certain class, and you can have 4 tanks if you want, you can have 4 healers, you can have 4 strikers. You can do whatever you want with these classes and assign them to whoever you want. Now the same flexibility the game gives you with your jobs is the same flexibility it gives you with your weapons and your armor. You can equip these to any character you want and in any class you want. It doesn't matter what kind of job they have or what kind of class they have. They can use any armor or any weapon in the game. Now to counteract this, they've put in a weight system. So each piece of armor and each weapon has a certain weight to it, and depending on what your character's class is determines how much weight they can carry. If you exceed the weight, then you get a detriment to your stats. So that kind of keeps you away from just piling on any old armor or any old equipment just because you think it's the best stuff. Now another cool thing about this game is that when you change your jobs, your character's look actually changes. And this also is the same for if you equip the weapon. That weapon will have a unique look depending on that weapon in that character's hand. Now this doesn't extend to the armor, so the only design change you'll see is based on the character's job. No matter what armor or accessories you put on the character, you won't look any different. Now even though they don't let the armor change how you look and they keep it strictly based on the job that determines the look of the character, I do wish that they would at least allow the accessories to kind of give you a little bit of oomph on your design. You know, if you put on a ring or if you put on a necklace or something like that, it'd have been nice to actually see it on the character. Now it doesn't mean anything and it's not a bad thing that they didn't do it. I just figured that would be a nice touch if they did. Now another good thing is that on the overworld map there are no random encounters. All of the enemies are already on the screen. You can see them, and if you can hit them with your sword in their back, you'll actually get an advantage in battle, and all your characters will start with 1 brave point. Now if the enemy attacks you from behind, obviously they'll be able to start with an advantage against you. Now speaking about brave points, if you pick default, it's actually like guard or block or defend on another RPG, and it will actually allow you to store up 1 brave point for that turn while putting your character in a guard. And this actually helps if a character or enemy is about to do a huge attack to you to where you want to kind of brace yourself for that damage. Also, if you just want to build up some of your brave points so you can pull off chain attacks later. Now by using your brave points, it allows your character to do multiple attacks or multiple actions in 1 turn. Now you can store up to 3 brave points, but you can also go into the negative down to -3. Now if you use up all your brave points that you have stored up, then that's fine, you just go back to 0. But if you want to go into the negative, and there's times that you may want to do it to hurry up and finish an enemy off, but if you don't finish him off and that character goes into the negative, then that character will not be able to be used until that number of turns passes that they're in the negative. So for instance, if you're -2 brave points, you won't be able to use that character for 2 of their turns. That character will not be in a defensive stance. They will just be out there, out and about, and taking a lot of damage from the enemy because you can't do anything with that character. You can still heal that character and stuff, you just can't use that character themselves. That really makes you think about certain situations to where it might be advantageous to actually go into the negative, and times where you don't want to do that because you can overextend yourself. Now one thing to take note of when you're out here battling and trying to grind and level up your character is that your character has a base level for that actual character, and you also have a level for the job that you currently are using. Now you can use 2 different jobs. You have one set as your main and another one set as your sub. You can use attacks and abilities and passive abilities from both classes at the same time from the main and sub class. But when you're fighting and when you're leveling up, the only class that will level up is the main one. So you have to make sure that whatever class you're trying to level up, you're currently utilizing as the main, because the subclass doesn't get any experience points from you actually battling. Now with the ability to be able to use the main and sub jobs and be able to use both abilities from each job, it actually really entices you to go out and use the different jobs for each character so that you can increase their move pool that they can use in certain situations that might give you a strategic advantage. So with all that being said, now I want to get into my gripes about the game. And the first gripe is small, but it just feels like it's something that shouldn't have happened. If you look here, the word fulfill is misspelled. I've never played a demo to where I've seen a word that was misspelled. It just seems like it's something that shouldn't have happened. Like that shouldn't get out. granted, it's a demo. I'm expecting gameplay issues, maybe slight glitches, maybe little graphical imperfections. I'm not expecting misspellings. Come on, man, y'all gotta get y'all's editing skills up. Now, my second gripe has to do with the look of the game on the overworld and inside like the city maps. Now, it's weird because sometimes I can look at it and I feel like the game looks pretty good, like it has like a pop-up, almost a storybook artistic look to it. But then there's times I look at areas of the map and there's things just blurred, and I don't understand, like, is it supposed to be like that? Hopefully it's just like that because it's a demo, but I feel like they could have sharpened things up a little bit. So I don't really know exactly how to feel about the look of this game, because like I said, I don't really know if I love it or if I hate it, and since I don't know, I have to hate it. Okay, well, maybe hate is a strong word, but I do dislike the inconsistency of it. So hopefully they can get it a little more consistent when the actual game comes out, polish this up and get things a little bit more sharp, because there is a lot of blur in it. Now, my third gripe has to do with the voice acting. The voice acting is not good in this game. It feels like the voice actors are really just reading their lines just to get it over with. There's not a lot of emotion involved. Now, this isn't game breaking by any means. I've played other RPGs to where I really did not care for the voice dialogue at all, and this seems like it's going to be another one I'm going to play and not really enjoy any of the dialogue in it. Hopefully the story can pick up where this left off and actually still keep you interested, because right now, whenever these people talk, especially in situations like this where you're talking to one of the bosses, you want it to feel tense. You know, you want it to sound the way it should sound, and right now I really didn't get that from the demo. I don't think they're going to fix that on the production, because a lot of times these things are already set in stone. This isn't something that's going to get changed from demo to production. So I know this is pretty much, it is what it is. This is what we're going to get. And it's just going to be another one of those games to where I just don't get anything from the dialogue. And that's why I said I'm hoping that the story can actually make up for it. Now, I've saved my biggest gripe for last. My biggest gripe with this game is the damn camera. The camera in this game is atrocious. It is atrocious. Now, the funny thing is, there's times throughout the game where you're able to freely move the camera around with the right analog stick. And there's other times, like in this situation where you're in this little dungeon area, that you can't move it at all. Now, the issue with this is the camera does not automatically reset behind the character, and there's no button to push to automatically reset it behind you either. So you get instances like this to where you're just running and you really can't see what's in front of you until you get there. Also, there's things off to the side. When you go in there, you can't see what's over there and you can't move the camera over there. So what if there's a hidden item over there? I would never know because I can't fucking see it. Now, hopefully when this game goes to production, they actually fix this, because this really needs to be addressed. Give us a button where we can automatically reset the camera behind our character so we can see what's going on, or at least give us the ability to freely move the camera in all situations. Now, let's talk about the things I do like about the game. And back in the beginning when I was speaking about the demo pretty much being custom made to teach you how to play the game, and I had never seen that before, well, I actually do like that. I feel like that's a good way to get your player base to understand the game, especially somebody like myself who didn't play the first one. So this is my first endeavor into the series, so this is really helping me kind of figure out how to utilize the battle system, how to utilize the class system. It's really good, and I hope that other games do start to use this in the future. But one thing they do need to make sure they do is that when the game actually comes out, the real game, it gives you an ability to use this to say, hey, did you already play the demo? Now, they don't have to ask you straight out, did you play the demo? They can work it in with the dialogue and kind of allude to it a little bit and give you an ability to say yes or no. And if you say yes, you can skip any in-game tutorials they have laid out in the real game because they know you've already done it in the demo. That will be a good way to utilize this without having the character have to go back and repetitively do things you've already done in the demo. Now, another thing I like about this game is the special attacks. Now, in the demo, only Seth has a special attack, but of course in the real game, all of our characters should have one. We'll probably have multiple ones depending on what job you have selected. but I just love the animations for these special attacks. It just looks super badass, and I can only imagine what the other special attacks are going to look like when we get those unlocked with the other characters, when we actually get the real version of the game. And speaking about the design, another little part of the design that I do love about the game is the boss fights. The whole area around the boss, the music, everything about the boss fight. I really enjoy that. I feel like they did a great job with this. The whole ring of fire around you kind of makes you look like you're trapped. You can't get away. It's just you and them. And it also really separates the fight for the boss from just the fodder fights that you fight, just random enemies throughout the environment. It really sets this apart and shows the importance of it. Another thing I like about this game is that during the battles you have the ability to set the battle speed. Now you have 3 levels. The first one is obviously normal, second one is a little fast, and the third one is like lightning. But it reminds me a lot of playing like the old Pokemon games on emulators, to where you could turn the sound off and it would run at like 400%, so you could move really fast, and it just works great for level grinding, because there's a lot of times you're just fighting fodder and you're gonna smash them, but it just takes a while because you have to look at all the animations and things like that. But the ability to speed up the battle and speed up those animations, man, that is priceless for having a level grind. Now, it can be a little detriment, because if you forget that it's going super fast and you run across something strong, it will smash your whole team without you having a chance to do anything. But when you want a level grind, it's just a great little touch to be able to just speed it up so you can get through it really fast and not waste a bunch of time looking at animations when you're just trying to level grind. And lastly, I really do enjoy the battle system for this game, utilizing the brave points and also the different jobs with their abilities. It just gives you a ton of options to use at your disposal inside of these fights. And with the ability to use 2 classes at once, it just gives your character so many moves that they can use in any situation. Allows you to customize your character for certain fights, especially if it's a fight that you're having trouble with. I had a lot of trouble with this boss fight, but I had to go out and get some more abilities for my classes so that I could use things that gave me an advantage in the fight. And I really loved that aspect of it, because it made the fight more about strategy, other than just coming in overpowered and just bulldozing through the enemy. I actually believe that I was a little underpowered coming into this fight, and by utilizing those abilities that I got outside of the fight, that actually helped me make up that gap. Now, even though I do love this battle system, there is a couple things that I hope they improve on when the actual game comes out. And really, one of the main things is being able to see status ailments and the brave points that the enemy has. Now, you can push start and you can see the brave points that the enemy currently has, as well as any boosts or status ailments that you have inflicted on him. But when you use the ability examine for your freelancer, it allows you to be able to see that character's health. Before you use it, you can't see their health unless you've already examined that enemy in the past. Now, this is a good opportunity for them to be able to put those status ailments underneath the bar as well. Now, obviously you can see he's poisoned, and you can see the poison status ailment above his head. But if you notice, there's times that it fades away and then it comes back. It only lasts for a couple seconds when it does fade, but it would be nice just to have that hard-coded image underneath his health bar. Also, he does have boosts in this fight, and the only way you'll see that is by pushing start. Those things should be under the health bar as well as his brave points, and I think it would just add to the whole UI for the examine ability. Now, the other thing I want them to improve on is another part of the user interface, and we need the ability to see when our characters are going to have their moves. Now, it doesn't have to be like Final Fantasy X to where it's laid out on a bar at the top and you can see exactly when people are going to move. But we do need some type of indicator to give us some type of information to know when people may get to move. Right now, it's all random. I never know what character is going to get to go when. So it would be great if they could implement something like Final Fantasy X, because I'm a big fan of that type of battle system. But if they wanted to do something like an ATB bar, you know, just to show that charge up to let you know, okay, currently it's Seth's turn, but Adele is almost at the end of her ATB bar. So I know she's probably going to get an attack in before the boss does. Now I can kind of plan out my attack and say, oh well, I can attack here and then I can use her to heal, or I can attack here and I can use her to do something else. Those are things that's missing from the game right now, because right now it feels like everything is completely random. You never know when the boss is going to move. You never know when you're going to move. You don't know who's going to start the fight. It's just things like that, and that's just little small things that they can fix, and I feel like will really make the battle system that much better. So with that being said, that's going to wrap up my review of the Bravely Default 2 demo. I can say that I was very, very pleased with the demo. Even though there were some things I really did not like, it's still a pretty good game, and I'm definitely going to get it. So if you're looking for a JRPG type game for the Nintendo Switch, this is a good game to add to your repertoire. Now, I don't want people to just look at this and say, oh, I said it was a good game, that means go out and get it. No, I really recommend people to download this demo if you haven't, so that way you can play it and you can experience it and figure out what you want to do with the game. That way you're just not listening to a review or reading an article and letting that decide the game for you. The demo gives you a good opportunity to play it and figure out for yourself how you like the game. And with that being said, that's going to wrap up the review for the Bravely Default 2 demo. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. It really helps me and the other content creators out on the Almost in Full Color channel. And if you like the things that we actually do create, then please hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell so that you get those notifications when we do release new content. And with everything going on, I hope you guys stay safe and stay healthy, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.